Welcome to the City League Sports Show here in the studio today, people. We're going to have a lot of fun. We have former Afrocentric women's basketball player Marley HiIl is in the show, in the house today. Say what's up to everybody.
Hey, everyone. How's everyone doing?
She spoke faster than I could drink a cup of my coffee. I'm your host, Dr. Vince Clarino. We're going to catch up with Miss HiIl in here today, right?
Sounds good.
So, hey, Are you a Columbus based right now? Are you in Columbus?
So I was in Houston for 5 years.
Oh, okay.
I bought a property out there. Now I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Oh, wow.
To buy a property. The government rated Oklahoma and Tulsa specifically as like an up and coming city. They call it the future Austin.
Okay.
So I wanted to get in before I couldn't get in.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
so I bought a property there.
Okay. And is that going to be home for you then?
No. So I'm currently going to Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
For the summertime.
Got it. So you got property in Houston, you got property in Tulsa. You're gonna be in Brooklyn, New York for the summer. What's going on in Brooklyn? Is that just I'm spending the summer in New York?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I work remote.
Okay.
So I wanted to go to Brooklyn just to to say I've lived in New York.
Love it. So life is working remote. You can just basically put a map up on the wall, throw a dart, and say, let's go hang out there for a while.
Yeah. And Brooklyn is just a city that's so fun in the summer. Mm-hmm. I know a couple of teammates. A teammate from Afrocentric lives in the New York City area.
Okay.
So I definitely wanted to go out there just for the summer and just have fun.
So great segue. Let's talk about it. You were an Afrocentric player. Mm-hmm. You were at your senior year, I think it was. You were Division III Player of the Year in state, right? So you're out here balling. You know what I mean? Going back to it, what did the Afrocentric time period, that experience, what did that do for you?
I think I am the person today because of Afrocentric.
Oh, wow.
It set the foundation just of doing stuff with intention. I think everything that Will McKinney, the coach at the time, what he taught us was doing stuff with intention. Yeah. Always, if it's how you wear your clothes, walking in line, how you kind of treat another teammate, how you kind of defend another teammate, things of that nature. Set the foundation of working hard and everything's kind of connected. When I look at my time at Afrocentric, the person I was then and the foundation that was set kind of is how I am now today with the work ethic and community being very important. I think that's one of the things that McKinney teaches is the importance of community. And we have alumni breakfast every Christmas Eve for the past probably 15 plus years.
Okay. Here in Central Ohio?
Yeah. So we have it at Afrocentric for his birthday.
Okay. So is his birthday around that time?
Yeah, it's his birthday's Christmas Eve. So we have a Christmas Eve alumni breakfast. So it kind of just set the foundation for me.
Nice. So getting into the grit of the game, right? Like we're gonna talk hoops for a little bit, right? We got hoop people who listen. When you were playing, I think I read somewhere that, I don't know, 5 or 9 or a neighbor puts up a basketball hoop in their driveway or something, right? Like I'm thinking one of those makeshift kind of driveway basketball hoops, and then from there, do you just start to fall in love with the game?
Yeah, so I kind of have a different story. I started basketball quote unquote older because everyone my age started basketball, 5, 6, 7. They were into sports. Yeah. They were like a tomboy.
You got those pee-wee stories out there, right?
I did not have that story. I was into ballet, tap, piano. I did flute. I did piccolo. I did praise dance. I was just super girly.
Footwork out there. Yes. That's footwork stuff, right? Foundational footwork. Okay.
And then my neighbor put up a basketball hoop in Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
I'm from Cleveland. Okay. And I just
Are you a Browns fan?
Yes.
I'm just curious.
My dad.
Yes, indeed.
We're the Browns, Guardians.
Got you. All in.
Yeah.
Okay, just curious. Yeah.
And they set up a basketball hoop, and that's when I kind of started. And then my parents moved to Columbus for my dad's job when I was 10. Okay. And funny story, maybe 2-3 months before I met McKinney, he randomly, didn't know him, he randomly walked up to me. I was so really tall, and he was like, do you guys hoop? It was me and my sister. I was like, yeah, I hoop. Mind you, I was so bad.
But where at? Where's he seeing you
Kroger.
at? Like just in the grocery store or something. Okay, wow.
And then I hooked up with JB, the AAU coach, and then he was like, okay, you're not that good, but you're tall and you have like the work ethic and like the the support.
Yeah.
So he randomly called McKinney and was like, I have a girl you should train. So from maybe 5th grade to like.
All right, hold on, pause for a second. I need to digest this. So lightning strikes in the grocery store one day, and you run into a Will McKinney. Mm-hmm. Then on a different situation, you run into JB, mm-hmm. right? Coach Bethea, for those out there, right? Mm-hmm. And so then he connects you also with the same person that you ran into the grocery store?
Yeah, and it's so funny how I got connected to JB. Do you remember Ayanna Dunny from Eastmore?
I do indeed.
Yes. Her mom saw me play, and she was like, you remind me of my daughter.
Oh.
So she hooked me up with JB.
Okay.
And then JB hooked me up with McKinney. And I started working out with McKinney once a week, mm-hmm. 2 times a week for an hour.
Okay.
It was like for $15 an hour. I worked out with him from like 5th grade to like 7th grade.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of how it started.
Yeah, I mean that like you said, to run into someone who ultimately ends up being someone influential in your life. You see him in a grocery store, and I share it with people. It doesn't have to be basketball. Like whatever sport you're into, it can be a life-changing opportunity. Mm-hmm. For a lot of reasons. Mm-hmm. One, if you first personally make the decision to commit, right? Like so like if you give of yourself, if you say, I'm going to work really hard, the things that you can learn will carry over in life. But then to have influential coaches and individuals who care, then that really like brings it all together.
Yeah.
So when you look back and you think of experience at, like playing at Afrocentric, And I think a lot of people here, a lot of our listeners, they know the dominance, they know the winning, they know those things. And you talked a little bit about some of the sisterhood. You talked about the things you learned with purpose and intent. But from a game standpoint, what stands out to you? Just like what memory? When I say girls basketball memory for you, Afrocentric, does something jump off the page? Is there a memory? Did you dump 50 on somebody, or you know what I mean? Is there something out there that rings home for you?
I think one of the memories that kind of pops out to me when I think Afrocentric girls basketball is open gym. So even before because I went to Pickerington public schools for 9th and 10th grade. And I was connected with McKinney. I knew the girls. Yeah. I felt like I was already on the team.
Right.
But after my open gym from Pickerington, I would drive to Afrocentric's open gym and do open gym. So when I think about Afrocentric's dynasty, especially back in 2013 and, previous years, I think about the open gym and how intense it was. And it was at the old building, so it was super high.
Oh, yeah, in the box.
Yes. So I think about just that
Old Livingston Avenue.
Yes.
For our old school listeners, that's the former Mohawk, right? A lot of people don't know that. So that was Mohawk, and then it became Afrocentric later on.
Yeah. I think about that. And I think about how, dominant we were as a team.
Yeah.
As well as I think about, it's so small, but it's so big now. Thinking about how we lined up from tall to short, and no one could come in between our line. I know that's so small, but it just showed our sisterhood.
Certainly.
Like if your teammate wasn't watching and someone was about to cut, you kind of stopped them.
Yeah.
So I think about just the small things. I don't really think about the championships. I don't think about winning, really.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't even think about stuff that happened in game.
Right.
I think about just the open gyms and lining up tall to short and study hall and things of that nature.
Okay. So those little things obviously then make a difference. It carries over into life. And so, with like you said, with the championships, with each group, that kind of has been there. If you stay there, 2-3 years, you've probably won a championship or a runner-up or those things, and that certainly is an important fabric of competitive sports, right? Because along with losing, you have to learn how to win, right? You have to learn how to lose. You have to learn how to win. So in life, you graduate. And you say, okay, I'm going off to University of Cincinnati. How does that come about? How does Cincinnati become your first choice?
I just
and I say first choice because we'll get to second choice in a moment, right?
Yeah, I liked the coaching staff. I liked the location. It just seemed like a good fit at the time for me.
So you go off. You're in Cincinnati. You spent how many years there?
I spent 2 years.
Tell us a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, I spent 2 years there. And I think during this time, this is when I started to realize okay, basketball is fun. I'm having a great time, but I really need to focus on academics. I really want to see because from 5th grade at that point when I met McKinney to like senior year of high school, I was like basketball.
Oh, wow, yeah. It can be overwhelming a little bit.
Yes, it was just 100% basketball.
Right.
So I got to Cincinnati. I was like, okay, I like basketball, but I just feel like I'm so much more than just a basketball player.
Right.
So I did 2 years at Cincinnati.
Certainly. So I'm going to rewind back for a moment because you said basketball. You speak to sort of coming into the game almost organically and by accident. A neighbor puts up a hoop, you there, hey, let's go play, you know what I mean, like kids do, right? I'm guessing. But you also come from a basketball family a little bit, right? So like, share with that. I mean, your grandfather, I mean, I don't want to steal the thunder. You steal the thunder for me. I'm just trying to figure out how does that happen and maybe basketball wasn't a natural thing for you. So share that a little bit with our listeners.
Yeah, so my mom's dad is NBA Hall of Famer Hal Greer.
Yeah, come on, 10 times. So you can't just see, like 10-time All-Star, right?
Yeah, they didn't have really a relationship, so it wasn't really something that like I always saw.
Yeah.
And then my dad played college basketball, so I always saw his trophies. So I really started getting into like basketball when I started seeing my dad's trophies.
Yeah.
And I was doing ballet and tap at the time, and then it didn't come with trophies. So I was like, I have to get a trophy.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. So maybe, hey, all you ballet folks out there, you might want to give some kids a couple of trophies, right, for something. But so as you share that, was there pressure from your family? I mean, because you played at a really high level. Was it pressure to you know what I mean? Or how did you feel growing up and playing the game?
So it wasn't pressure growing up until I got to Afrocentric, I think, because I wasn't really that good. Okay. And it was just something, my dad tells this joke all the time. When I first started, I played at like a Cleveland public school, like rec league, and there was an A team and the B team. The A team was like $100 and the B team was like $25.
Okay.
And mind you, this was the first time I've ever played basketball.
Yeah.
My dad was like, oh, I'm so happy she just joined the B team, so it's $25.
Right.
And then one of the coaches walked up to me and was like, you're tall, you need to be on the A team. So he walked up to my dad and was like, yeah, she's going to be the A team. He's like, it's $100. So, he didn't, it wasn't really pressure because I was bad. I was not good, and it was just like not taken serious. But then I just started like being consumed with it. This is when like Candace Parker and Maya Moore, me and my parents, we drove to Knoxville to see Candace Parker.
What year was that for you?
It was maybe...
Like as a memory, is that middle school or high school? Middle school.
Oh,
wow, that's a great experience.
And then Candace...
And y'all went to the game?
We went to the game. We got tickets off the street.
Ooh, that's a good time.
And how girls basketball is now is how it was with Candace Parker.
Right.
So like packed arena.
Certainly.
Security following her. It was like the greatest experience to see Candace Parker. And then being in love with Maya Moore and, Sylvia Fowles and UConn's basketball. Like, it was just... It just started to get more intense.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing, like to be able to have an experience like that where it's just, hey, let's hop in the car, let's make it down here, because that experience down there, I would have to guess, is phenomenal. Just when you see it on TV, it's electric, right? So to be able to get a chance to go, that certainly can spark some energy. So, and the reason why I asked that is because basketball is in your family's past. Basketball then was in your current, right, and a part of your future. So then at Cincinnati, you kind of have this epiphany for you and say, hey, look, I need to maybe find some balance. Is that a fair way to put that?
Yeah, definitely balance, because you go to college and you meet all these people. Because in high school, it was just my teammates, and I didn't really have friends outside of basketball.
Right.
So it's just my teammates. So now I'm meeting people who never picked up a basketball before. It's like, you do this on the side, you have this, you have this talent, you have this. So.
Right. Yeah, college will do that, right? I can remember that, similar experience, because like you shared, when you're in high school and you're playing, it can consume you. Your circle becomes kind of the team almost at all times. And then you get into college, and then there's people who are coming from all over the world, literally. You know what I mean? I'm sure you see as a big place. You probably had students who are international students, and you look around, and then like the diversity of the world opens up to you. But that experience for you comes to an end. So after 2 years, what happens that makes you say, hey, look, maybe a transition is needed?
It was definitely a lot of just conflict with me and the coaching staff.
Okay.
I was definitely thinking like, yeah, it's definitely time.
Okay.
So I go to Western Michigan.
Right. Now, Western Michigan, does that happen organically? Because you know there's some connection there. So is it organic, or was it maybe some connection also? How do you go from UC to Western Michigan?
It was definitely connections with I had a teammate from Afrocentric.
Yeah.
At Western. Everything's
So
connected
Lex
to
was there,
Afrocentric. Yes.
right? Lex was there.
Everything's connected to Afrocentric.
Now, are y'all the same year?
No,
Seniors?
she's a year behind me, but because of the red shirt year, we had a red shirt back in the day. I know that you're a red shirt now.
Hey, not now, the transfer portal and NIL and all this other stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we was just trying to get peanut butter and jelly sandwiches when I was playing, you know? And now you're out here doing all these other things.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
but she was a year behind you at Afrocentric.
Yes.
Okay.
But we caught up within the year.
Yeah.
So back to like how I wasn't like identifying as basketball anymore. I graduate college within 3 years.
Oh, you was banging it out.
Yeah. And then I study abroad. In South Africa.
You did this while you were at UC?
At Western Michigan.
At Western Michigan.
UC wouldn't really allow it.
Oh, okay.
So Western Michigan was like, yeah. So I studied abroad in South Africa, London, and China.
Wow.
Yeah, and they paid for it.
You had some really nice experiences in life.
And they paid for it. My scholarship paid for it.
Okay. So, is it communication with Lexus Parks?
Oh yeah. I talked to her.
No. I mean, like back then.
Oh yeah.
Because there was players everywhere though. I mean, like you had teammates at other universities.
Yeah.
So I'm bringing you back. I want to know, how does that end up being the space? Because I'm sure there were other teammates at different universities, right? How does Western Michigan, what they call it, the UP, right?
WMU.
No. I'm talking about in the state.
It's not in the UP.
Oh, it's not in the UP. It's not that far up. No,
it's near Chicago. It's like
further. So it's a southern portion of the state, close to Chicago. Okay.
Yeah, it was communication at the time, and I wanted to get out of Ohio, but I also didn't want to go far.
Right.
So that was just like a perfect opportunity.
No, I'm trying to figure out why Western Michigan as opposed to maybe any one of your other teammates that were playing someplace else. Yeah, I'm curious. I think our listeners would love to hear.
Lex was very convincing, and I know that like Lex has a very blunt and a very strong personality.
Oh, okay.
So I know if she was okay with something, I know she would tell me how it is. She would tell me like how it is, like it is. So I just reached out to her and we kind of started communication.
Yeah, and you all played together 1 year?
2 years.
2 years. So played together 2 years in high school.
And 2 years in college.
Keeping communication, and then before you know it, you're packing your bags at University of Cincinnati, and now all of a sudden you're at Western Michigan, which is near Chicago, as you say, right? So when you get to Western Michigan, you have to sit out a year. So for those people that don't understand or don't know, who are just maybe new to following college sports, there was a time period out there when you transferred, you had to sit for an entire season before you were eligible to start playing at your new location. What did that do to you or for you? I mean, it's almost like an injury, right, to some degree. So how does that go from playing UC, having minutes, and then all of a sudden, you know what I mean, you're moving, you're in a different city, and then now all of a sudden you got to sit out for a year and watch. And that's probably your first time watching in, probably 10 years.
Yeah, it was actually good for me because I started like identifying with other things. So that's when I started really doing well in school. So I was doing well in school, but this is when I started I think I took 20 credits that semester.
You're like a super student.
Yes, because I wanted to graduate because I knew I had an extra year, so I wanted to get my master's paid.
Okay. Yeah.
So I
Who's helping you with that vision? Like that's a pretty mature thought. Who in your circle is helping you say, hey, let's do this. Let's get all these credits. Let's get a graduate degree. Is someone helping you with that thought?
I just saw it from Yaya Ayana Dunning because she went from LSU to West Virginia.
Okay.
And I saw that she graduated with her master's. And I knew like how much masters were and all the debt, and I really didn't want to have any debt.
Certainly.
So I think that's also connected to why I'm able to buy houses now. I don't have like student loan debt.
Right.
So I wanted to really hurry up and graduate with my master's. So
nice. Do you still talk to Ayana Dunning?
No, I haven't talked to her in a while. I never really even talked to her because she's not much older than me, but she's probably 8 years older than me. I always was kind of communicating with her mom.
Oh, but how powerful of a relationship to just be able to see her path and say, hey, look, okay, I'm following you and you don't even know. And then when I say fun, I don't mean social media fun. I mean just from a visionary standpoint.
Yeah.
So you're at Western Michigan. you do all these things. You're taking 20 credits, which is super student stuff to me, right? Because like what athletes are taking 20 credits?
Yeah.
Right. Like that's pretty daunting of a task. And then you shared a moment ago, but you kind of just slid it in there. So let's dive in these study abroad experiences. South Africa. You said Japan?
London and China.
London and China. Okay, so where were you at in China? Let's start with China.
I was in Beijing, Hohhot, just all throughout China.
Oh wow! And how long were you there?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. So you spent 2 weeks there. How long were you in London?
It was just like a day thing where you just went there for the day and explored all the museums. We went to like 3 museums. We got there at like 8, left at like 10 o'clock that night.
And then when you're leaving London, you came back to the States?
I went to South Africa.
So from London, then you go to South Africa. And how long were you in South Africa?
For like a month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how was that experience? I mean, give us some details on that one. I mean, it's not many people that ever get a chance to leave the country, let alone visit some of these really, sort of historic places that you're speaking to.
South Africa was really, really fun. I went to Port Elizabeth, South Africa, and I did some classes at Nelson Mandela University.
Wow, okay.
In Port Elizabeth, and we worked on like healthcare systems and saw the differences of healthcare systems. Because in South Africa, like if you do not have like a job and don't have healthcare, you go to the public hospitals. It is free, but it's very like not the best systems.
Certainly.
As well as if you go to, if you have private healthcare, you go to the very, very nice hospitals. So we just looked at the differences between them, as well as we went on safari hunts.
Oh, wow.
So we like sat in a Jeep with the top off and like went 2-3 hours away from Port Elizabeth and like saw like live lions and elephants.
In their natural habitat, just being able to live freely. So is this during your year that you set out?
So this is during the summertime.
During the summertime. So you say, okay, hey, look, I'm here at school. You're on campus, and like anybody who's out on college campus, you see all these study abroad flyers everywhere, right? You can peel off a little piece of the paper or something and take a class. But you're saying, okay, so now I'm going to take advantage of this. Give that advice per se. How do you tackle this whole college thing that gets you sitting here as the woman you are today? We got young people going to college all the time.
If you have a scholarship, you need to study abroad because they will pay for it.
Wow.
So they paid 100% for it. I got 3 credits of like just a general studies. You usually have like, 12 credits you need to get for general studies, just to pick any classes. And it allowed me to study abroad. So I asked them, and they were kind of hesitant because no athlete wants to do this.
Right.
So they were like, okay, I guess. So they pay for that. And then I got another scholarship to pay for my flight. And then I got another scholarship for spending money. So I really went to China, South Africa, and London for free.
Wow. So now let's get back to some of the basketball, right? Your time at Western Michigan, how was it playing there?
It was really good.
What was that experience like? And then obviously you have a high school teammate there, which you can connect with, right? So how was that?
It was really good because I also connected with the community at Cincinnati.
What city is Western Michigan?
It's in Kalamazoo.
Kalamazoo.
Yeah, I connected with the community a lot there.
Okay.
So it was good because I wanted that balance. I wanted the community. I had Afrocentric, but this community was outside of basketball. This was just like the city, the community. I started going to church really heavy. So I started connecting with so many people outside of the campus.
Yeah. But let's talk about the hooping. I mean, how was it? Was you out there having a good time?
I was having a really good time.
Was the coaching staff, you know what I mean, supportive of your efforts?
Yeah, it was a really good time. The coaching staff was really great. It was a lot of community building, a lot of things outside of basketball that they focused on. While Cincinnati was just basketball, they were more, okay, so we had girls who were going to vet school and PA school. Like we had girls like that. At Cincinnati, we didn't really have that. We just had girls who were like communication majors.
Certainly. I get it. Do you still stay in contact with any of your teammates? Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
My best friend actually was from Cincinnati. And I also have connections with Western Michigan players as well.
Yeah. I read that, while at Western Michigan, your career high, 27. Do you remember that game?
Yeah. I remember that game. It was one of my teammates was out. We had a lot of injuries that game, so I kind of stepped up.
I mean, is it like I know sometimes, and when I've played, I can look back at these kind of handful of games, and I had a few that were memorable for me, I guess, on a stat line.
Yeah.
2 or 3 of them I didn't even know, right? Like that it was happening that night. I was just out there playing, right? And then somebody come back and say, hey, you did X. And I go, oh, wow, right? Like, that's a pretty good night.
Yeah.
But then there's 1 or 2 that I can see it and feel it in the moment. Were you feeling it in that moment? Did you know, okay, tonight, like you said, players out?
Yeah, I felt it. There was 3 times I felt it. I felt it then. I felt it when we played against Eastmore. I had 32.
In high school?
In high school.
Going back, okay, so there we go. Let's get some of that basketball memory stuff.
I remember in Eastmore I had it, and then we went to the University of DePaul.
Okay.
Summer camp.
St. Louis. Chicago.
Summer camp.
Yeah.
And I had it then. So I had it like 3 times where, and then, maybe like 3, 4 times where I had it where it's just like everything I
You
threw
just
up.
know it, right?
Yeah.
You just, okay, tonight's the night.
Yeah.
And so, I take it, like your family, are they at some of like in high school? Are your parents at the games and
Yes.
you know what I mean?
My parents, especially my dad, he basically never missed.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah.
So he followed you even throughout college.
Yes.
Just hop in the car, off and running. I mean, well, obviously, if he's driving you to Tennessee as a kid, then he's saying, hey, look, you're playing wherever. I'm gonna hop in the car and I'm gonna be there for you.
Yeah.
How important was that, would you say, when you look back on it in your life, having that support?
It's very important, but back when I had it, I thought this was just how it was. Especially my teammates at Afrocentric, their parents came too.
Okay.
This is how it was. And then like being a teacher, I was a teacher for a few years.
Okay.
And then seeing parents not really active, it was just shocking.
Right.
Because my parents were the ones that like always believed the teachers. They were the ones that like McKinney could yell, scream at me. They're just like, they're not going to complain about him yelling at me. Things like that. So,
but you know what I call that? I call it encouraging with a loud voice.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm sure that if you say yelling, but his yelling is coming from an energy of coaching, good intention, trying to help bring out the best in you. Yeah. That's an old school parenting type of mentality. I think there's a space for both. I would never share that parents shouldn't question. You know what I mean? But I certainly think there's a space where, hey, look, because guess what kids do, parents? And I'm not talking to you right now. I'm talking to all our parents who are listeners. Guess what kids do, parents? They make mistakes. They make mistakes, parents. So sometimes when someone from a school standpoint, a coach, wherever, is sharing that mistake with you, you don't always have to be defensive because they're trying to help explain to you and say, hey, look, we're just sharing with you what happened while your child was at school. You're right, though. There aren't a lot of parents who sit in that same box of support. I was lucky like you. I mean, there was 3 of us in my family, and I think our dad, our memories say that our dad was at everything. I don't know how you could be at everything because I know there were conflicts of days, right, where my siblings must have had some type of event and I had one. But I think he was always there. Like my mind says he was always at stuff, right, just showing up and being supportive. What do you think is the state of the game right now? When you see it, and you choose the level. I mean, I'd like to focus on high school and college, but you choose the level. What is the state of the game right now? How's the game going?
For college, I'm happy with college. For high school, I'm kind of nervous and scared for it because you have all these great coaches leaving.
Leaving high school.
Leaving high school.
Leaving, stepping away just altogether, or leaving and transitioning to some other basketball altogether.
From my high school, the coach from Reynoldsburg girls basketball, Jack, he retired, but it was just so weird that they're all doing it at the same time. When McKinney left, I remember I texted his wife like, "Is everything okay?"
Yeah,
like, is everything okay with him?
But he has a family, and his kids are getting older. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know what? This is what I share with people all the time. At some point, Coach Will McKinney was new.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like at some point he was the new person in his 20s and trying to figure out, how do I carve out a path, right, in this particular space? How do I help for whatever sport, whether it's basketball, football, track, soccer, right? How do I carve out that path? And so whenever someone who puts in a lifetime and a body of work like he did, right? That opens the door for someone new, though, to come through, right? And then you got Coach Anderson there, who's now, taking it and taking the baton and going. But you have other schools, right, also where people are trying to figure out their niche, and they can maybe use Afrocentric as a model or not if they want to.
And the one thing I like about like the new coaches, so I'm kind of like, because all the coaches are leaving, but the new coaches are coming in, and they have more problems that they have to deal with.
Yes, indeed. But much different problems.
Yes, but one of the things I like about like Coach Shaq is that she is more like, okay, you have basketball, but okay, let's see if you know how to talk. Let's see if you know how to walk a certain way. Let's see if you know how to go to a nice restaurant and eat. Let's see if you can develop leadership skills. When the coaches back in the day didn't do that. They were just coaches. But I like how Shaq, Coach Anderson, has kind of taken it and made it like, okay, like we know you have basketball, but let's like develop you as a player outside of basketball.
Certainly. What advice would you give to a kid right now, a parent right now, a family right now? What advice? There's some 8th grade kid right now, young lady, she's playing basketball. Parents are listening because we get kids, parents listen. We got all range of listeners. What do you share? How does somebody find the success that you found? What do they need to do? What's the recipe?
I think it's for the girls to really be intentional about what you want to do. And you might have to put some things aside, as well as the parents. I think it's important to understand that like your child is not always right. Your child is not always perfect. And the coaches that are yelling, screaming, whatever, at them are doing it out of like care and impact. And like when the coaches stop talking to you, that's when you kind of want to get concerned.
Please say that again.
When the coaches,
I share that all the time. I've never had a chance to say it on the show, and if it's never been queued up, please say that again.
When the coaches stop talking to you, that's when you kind of want to be concerned.
That is so beautifully put. I try to explain that to parents and families all the time. Like when a coach, a teacher, anyone is giving attention to your child, it's because they still see the opportunities, the possibilities, the growth. You know what I mean? It's when they say nothing is when they say, okay, I've kind of given up. I washed my hands. You're not interested in whatever I'm trying to share with you, right? But you made a comment just now that you may have to give up some things. What does that mean for a kid? If I'm a kid listening right now and Marley HiIl, big time college player, is coming through my phone. I'm listening, she's coming through my radio. What does that mean, give up some things in your mind?
I think like for me right now, buying 2 properties, this is why I'm going to New York now because I'm kind of relaxing, but like buying 2 properties, I had to give up traveling. I had to give up certain things in order to buy those 2 properties. This is why I'm going to New York, because I can like finally kind of breathe a little bit. But even when like I was younger, I had to give up like having fun basically. But when looking back at it now, I'm happy I did that, because the fun I had in high school, like going to little house parties, that's not that, like, it's low-key dangerous now.
Certainly it is.
But now I'm having fun now, traveling, spending how I want to spend money, going to different type of places, buying properties that I like, doing things that I like, just because I was able to sacrifice a few things.
And I'll share that there's different types of fun. And what I mean by that, when you become an adult, it is conscious fun because it's driven by your likes and the things that you want to do. So, you get older and you start to learn about yourself and you say, hey, look, you know what? I'm going to go to this book festival that may be in some place you've never visited, right? The fun is things that you seek out. Kind of when you're in high school, it's what falls in your face. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, oh, everybody should go to the homecoming dance. And I'm not saying don't go to homecoming, right? But I just think it's interesting that you share about sacrifices, because as an athlete, especially when you're young, the decisions you make in those early years where you talk about the sacrifices, that can change your whole life. Especially I share with basketball kids all the time. And there's 2 or 3 that I shared this with actually this last season, young men and young ladies. Say, hey, look, like this little time period here in your spring and summer can change your whole life. if you choose to like buckle down and do what you're supposed to do. But it's hard for some kids. The weather gets nice and you want to play and you want to have fun. You want to do all the things that's not maybe helping you improve in your game. And then before you know it, you look up and it's another season. And everybody else, took 3 steps up the ladder and you maybe took 1, Hey, this has been a wonderful, wonderful time here with you today, catching up with the Marley HiIl. Say anything you want to say as we start to get out of here. I'm going to do our outro and then off we go.
I think the most important thing I realize is that using your talents as kind of how you pay the bills, as how you kind of improve, such as like I love having conversations, I love talking. So like now I'm a learning specialist for a company and doing leadership training. So I take that ability, those gifts, and try to help like young girls, especially. Yeah. That's why I go back to Afrocentric and do like leadership training with them, just to take my skills and like what Afrocentric gave me and kind of give it to them. Certainly. Well, hey, look, you talked about learning to be intentional. Your messaging and what you shared today was intentional. Our listeners are going to love your show. We had a really good time today. I gotta read the notes here, but we want to thank you for being here with us today. Much respect to you. If you catch all our future episodes on radio WCBE 90.5 FM. For those of you out there that listen to your favorite podcast, catch us on Spotify, Apple, and additionally follow us on Instagram at City League Sports 614. Until the next time we're out here, this is the City League Sports Show. I'm your host, Vince Clarino. Thank you. Thank you.